Good morning, good morning. The time for convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. At this time, I will ask all unauthorized personnel to exit the chamber. Chair recognizes the senator from the 28th for the reading of the journal.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, fellow senators. Look forward to having a wonderful day today. It's National Peanut Cluster Day today. It's National Proofreading Day. National Retro Video Game Day. International Women's Day. It's Discover What Your Name Means Day. Matthew means a gift from God, for those of you that didn't know. And it's Registered Dietitian Day. Mr. President, on this day in 1915, the first U.S. Navy mine layer, the Baltimore, was commissioned. On this day in 1917, the U.S. Senate introduces the cloture rule, requiring a 2/3 majority to end debate at the urging of President Woodrow Wilson. Mr. President, we got a fine lineup of pages today, and I am going to go through them. We have Sophia Boulton. We have Jackson Andrews, Sophia Esposito, Kate Metters, Ava Wise, Marcus Daniels, Laura Hewitt, Nikash Namara, Aiden Phillips, former Georgia football quarterback's daughter, Corey Phillips, Ilana Christian.
She's a lot better athlete than her daddy ever was, I can tell you that. He was my roommate.
That ain't saying a whole lot, but Carrington Long. So y'all thank our pages. We appreciate your work today.
All right.
Although your duties will be very light today, but I hope you enjoy it and appreciate your service to our great state. Mr. President, the journal has been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Pages, for working today. We always appreciate all the young folks who come down here and volunteer their time. So thank y'all very much, and thank you for recognizing them, Senator. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. The journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and references the Senate bills.
Senate Bill 291 by Senator Kennedy of 18th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Forsyth. Senate Bill 292 by Senator Moore of the 53rd, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a homestead exemption from all Catoosa
State
County.
and local government.
Senate Resolution 269 by Senator James of the 35th and others, a resolution recognizing and commending. Senate Resolution 273 by Senator Albers of the 56th and Robertson of the 29th, a resolution creating the Senate EMS Reform Study Committee and for other purposes.
Rules.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
First reading and references to House bills and resolutions. The Secretary will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Assignments has had under consideration the appointments made by the Governor submitted to the Senate on February 13th, 2023 that require Senate confirmation, and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that the appointments be confirmed as submitted. Respectfully submitted, the Honorable Burt Jones, Chairman. The Senate Committee on Education and Youth has had under consideration the following legislation, has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: House Bill 402 do pass. House Bill 147 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dixon of the 45th District, Chairman. The Senate Committee on Health and Human Services has had under consideration the following legislation, has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: House Bill 85 do pass. House Bill 203 do pass. House Bill 332 do pass. House Bill 440 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 1st District, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities has had under consideration the following legislation, has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: House Bill 155 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowsert of the 46th District, Chairman. The Senate Committee on SOLGO has had under consideration the following legislation, has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: House Bill 569 do pass. House Bill 580 do pass. House Bill 586 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Ginn of the 47th District, Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary will read bills and resolutions for the second time.
House Resolution 157 by Representative Green of the 154th and others property conveyance of certain state-owned property authorized. House Resolution 158 by Representative Green of the 144th and 54th and others property granting of non-exclusive easements authorized. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Senator from the 47th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 52nd.
Without objection, Senator from the 52nd is excused. Senator from the 31st.
Good morning, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 37th from Cobb County for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, Senator from the 32nd is excused. Senator from the 14th.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the senator from the 41st district be excused for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, Senator from the 21st is excused. Senator from the 40th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senators from the 55th, the 42nd, and believe it or not, the senator from the 33rd.
Wow. Without objection, Senator from the 55th to 42nd and 33rd are excused. Senator from the 7th.
Good morning, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 6th for business outside the Capitol.
He's
I'm
right
the
beside
seventh.
you.
No, hold on. What is
You're
that?
number 7.
Fifth.
Fifth.
Just kidding,
All
fifth.
right, here we go. Oh, you're not getting them? Without objection, the senator from the 5th is excused. Senator from the 50th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 49th for business outside the chamber.
Without objection, the senator from the 49th is excused. Senator from the 22nd.
Ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 41st for business outside of the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 41st is excused. Is any other senator wish to rise to excuse another senator? Secretary will call the roll. Senator, signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary, unlock the machine. Before we have our morning devotion, I wanted to, it is National Women's Day today. I don't know, and we have, not only do we have very distinguished women here in this body, but we've got some ladies in the chamber here that are pretty special as well. We got the ladies of Spelman College here today. Y'all. It's always good to have the ladies of Spelman here today. And then I know the senator from the 40th later, after our devotion, will have something for the ladies here in the chamber as well. So it is now time for the morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all conversation. I would ask that the doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. And I will recognize my good friend from Habersham County, Senator from the 50th, to lead us in our pledge and introduce the chaplain of the day.
Let's pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Georgia flag.
I pledge allegiance
To the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor today to recognize Pastor Keith Cox. Pastor Keith received his Bachelor of Arts degree from Mercer University in Human Services. He was the first recipient of the Papa Joe Hendricks Humanitarian Award. He received his Master's of Divinity from the Interdenominational Theological Center and Gammon Theological Seminary and was the recipient of Excellence in Preaching Award. He has been serving as a pastor in the United Methodist Church for 26 years and was ordained as elder in full connection in the North Georgia Conference in 2003. Pastor Keith and his family also served as missionaries with the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf for 2 years. He served as the president for the Southeastern Jurisdictional Deaf Ministry for the United Methodist Church for 2 terms. He has pastored churches in 6 of the 8 districts within the North Georgia Conference. Currently, he is the senior pastor at Clarksville First United Methodist Church in Habersham County. He serves the community in different capacities. He is a member of the District Superintendency Committee for the Northeast District of the United Methodist Church, Connection Group Leader for pastors and lay leaders for the Habersham and Rabun County, board member for the Graysgate Medical Clinic and Habersham United Believers in Habersham County. He's volunteer chaplain at Habersham Medical Center as well as the Victory Home and participates in the monthly pastor prayer ministry for Habersham County. He and his wife, April, have been married for 27 years. April is a teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing for Habersham County. Their daughter, Megan, lives in Concord, North Carolina, with her husband, Joshua, and 18-month-old daughter, Elizabeth. Their son, Jordan, is married to Millie, and they are both attending Southeastern Theological Seminary in Wake Forest, North Carolina. And with that, I'll turn it over to Pastor Keith.
I want to start by thanking God for giving me this opportunity to speak today. I want to thank my family for their prayers and support. I also want to thank Lieutenant Governor, Mr. President Burt Jones, for having me, Secretary of Senate, Mr. David Cook, and I'm extremely grateful and thankful for Senator Bo Hatchett for inviting me to be here today. Members of the Senate, it's such an honor and privilege to be invited to be a part of this time-honored tradition of the Georgia Senate to serve as chaplain of the day. I want to read to you from Isaiah 38, verse 1. In those days, Hezekiah became ill and was at the point of death. The prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, went to him and said, "This is what the Lord says. Put your house in order, because you're going to die. You will not recover." Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord, "Remember me, Lord. I have walked with you before faithfully and with you wholehearted devotion, and have done what is good in your eyes." And Hezekiah wept bitterly. Before Isaiah had left the middle court, the will of the Lord came to him. "Go back and tell Hezekiah, the ruler of my people, this is what the Lord, the God of your father, says. I have heard your prayer. I have seen your tears. I will heal you. On the 3rd day from now, you will go up to the temple of the Lord. I will add 15 years to your life. I will deliver you and this city from the hand of the king of Assyria. And I will defend this city for my sake and for the sake of my servant David." Sounds like a happy story. 15 more years to live. So what's wrong with that? Well, the next chapter, Isaiah goes back to Hezekiah and says this, "Hear the word of the Lord. The time will surely come when everything in your palace and all that your predecessors have stored up until this day will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says the Lord, and some of your descendants, your own flesh and blood, who have been born to you, will be taken away, and they will become eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon." "The word of the Lord you have spoken is good," Hezekiah replied, for he thought, "Will there not be peace and security in my lifetime?" This is where I'm no longer a fan of King Hezekiah. The moment the prophet told him that his descendants, which means his children and grandchildren, the future generation, would be captured and enslaved by the Babylonians, he should have said, "What can I do to save them?" He should have said, "Take my life." But instead, he said, "Will there not be peace and security in my lifetime?" He was more concerned about having peace and security in his own lifetime and not concerned about the future generation. 15 years later, after Hezekiah died, his son becomes king, and he was not like his dad. He was disobedient to God, and then Babylon captures Judah. See, if Hezekiah had put his house in order, his son would not have become king, and his descendants would not have been captured. Simply what I'm sharing today, my message is simply this. My message today is about what it means to put your house in order. What does it mean to put your house in order? Your first house is where you live, your personal home. Is there peace and rest in your home? Do you spend quality time with your spouse and children? In your home, do you pray with your family? Make time to read and study the scriptures? Is your house in order? Your second house is where we are today, the Capitol. I want to encourage each of you as you vote and make decisions that you will always keep the future generation in mind. The decision that I made should be based on how it will help your children, grandchildren, and even your great-grandchildren. Have you ever heard of the seventh generation principle? The seventh generation principle. It's based upon the Iroquois philosophy that the decisions we make today should result in a sustainable world even 7 generations into the future. For this house to be in order, there must be unity in the body, one heart, one mind, one purpose, especially when it comes to the future generation. So, is this house in order? The third and final house is God's house. I want to encourage each of you to make weekly worshiping in God's house a priority. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Meeting regularly with other believers is a source of encouragement and strength for each of you. The reality is this: if you want to put your house in order, if you want to put this house in order, then your first priority should be putting God's house in order. That means God's house first, your house second, and this house third. I've also heard it said this way: it's got to be God, family, and then your career. It has to be in that order. Stand with me as we pray. Dear Lord, I pray for each senator and their families. Give them wisdom and discernment as they continue to meet and make decisions. I also pray for unity among this body. One way that we can come together in unity is by praying the prayer that Jesus taught us to pray by saying, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen." Amen. Thank you.
It is now time to, always a pleasure to have the doctor of the day. Obviously, these physicians volunteer their time to come down here, and we love having them down here. But I'll call the senator from the 24th to introduce our doctor of the day.
Thank you, Mr. President. It gives me an honor to introduce the doctor today, Dr. Ray. Dr. Ray graduated from the College of Charleston. Then he graduated from the Medical University of South Carolina. And then he practiced pharmacy in Aiken, South Carolina. And then he finally got smart, and he graduated from AU in Augusta, Georgia. His interest is global women's health and also workforce solutions for the women's health. It gives me great honor to introduce you, Doctor today, Dr. Ray.
Thank you very much, Senator Anderson, Mr. President. Members of this distinguished Senate, it's an honor for me to serve as Doctor of the Day once again, and especially since it's National Women's Day. So I just want to say thank you again, and hopefully I'll be back in the office very soon. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have our friends from all over the state, but it's really nice to have our Carroll County Chamber of Commerce with us here today, and citizens from Carroll County that came down, and I appreciate them being here. And I'd like to recognize the senator from Carroll County, the senator from the 30th, to introduce our special guest. Oh, let's read the resolution, please.
Senate Resolution 126 by Senator Dugan of the 30th, a resolution recognizing and commending the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce on the occasion of its 68th anniversary and its sister organization Carroll Tomorrow on its 24th anniversary and for other purposes. Whereas the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce remains the country's county's most prominent and largest business association. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and commend the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce on its 68th anniversary and Carroll Tomorrow on its 24th anniversary and express their sincerest best wishes for continued success. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Recognize the senator from the 30th to speak to the resolution and introduce our guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll make this quick because I know all of y'all are anxious to get into the state of the judiciary. So Carroll County, Georgia, we're an industry leader and an ag leader across the state of Georgia. You talk about Coca-Cola, Asa Candler's from Carroll County, Georgia. 3 of the first Coke presidents for Carroll County, Georgia. Roy Richards, Southwire, Carroll County, Georgia. Susan Hayward, the actress, Carroll County, Georgia. Blue Water Rope, the #1 climbing rope and tactical rope in the world, is manufactured in Carroll County, Georgia. Yachio, if you have a Honda and your Honda has a gas tank, it is manufactured in Carroll County, Georgia. Magna International, if you have a Nissan and then it's got a lift gate, that lift gate is manufactured in Carroll County, Georgia. We're also a leader in beef production and cattle production, and none of that would be possible without my friends here from the Carroll County Chamber making sure that they keep Carroll County as the best county to live in the state of Georgia. So with that being said, I would like to welcome this year's president of the Chamber, Ms. Jill Duncan.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate it.
That's why she's president. Thank you.
I need some of these senators need to go there. I've got a special guest I wanted to introduce to the chamber here, but I also want to tell a little story. I've got my old college roommate, Corey Phillips, here today. Everybody give Corey a round of applause, if you don't mind. I was just telling him that, if you ever think that your phone isn't listening to what you're saying, 20 years ago this month, Corey and I were on the SEC Championship UGA football team. SEC championships used to mean something, but we were on the 2002 championship team, and we came down to Atlanta, Georgia, 20 years ago this month, to be recognized for winning the SEC by a local state senator named Senator Brian Kemp, who introduced us, and the lieutenant governor at the time was Mark Taylor. So I thought that was an interesting story. Corey's daughter is paging right now, but it is funny how things seem to always come full circle. But anyways, I thought that was an interesting story, and we had, like I said, Senator, now Governor Kemp, introduced us, and we were standing up here. I looked a little younger, Corey. You're still holding on pretty well. But anyways, I just always like to have our friends and everything, and so I just wanted to tell that story. So it was on my heart to tell. So now, are there any unanimous consents? Hearing none. Now, so today we have the State of Judiciary, so we will be getting out of here about 10 to 11, and then we'll be going over to the House chamber for that. So as I'm telling you that because we're upon the time of points of personal privilege, so there are a few people who are lined up to talk, so if everybody will try to be respectful of and mindful of the time, that would be wonderful. So we are on to points of personal privilege. You have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Hearing none. Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the resolution on the consent calendar is adopted. So now, time for points of personal privilege. I recognize the senator from the 1st on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. I just wanted to recognize in the audience or in the gallery above those folks with HCA. Just a little bit about them. They represent 5 hospitals in the state of Georgia, and those hospitals are Doctors Hospital of Augusta, Memorial Health in Savannah, Memorial Satilla down in Waycross, Fairview Park, in Dublin, and I left off Memorial Health in Meadows, Vidalia. So just a little bit. HCA Healthcare Georgia has over 8,600 employees, 1,300 physicians work in the state, and they've invested over $1.1 billion in the total state investment, provided more than $127 million in uncompensated care. Most importantly, from a state perspective, they've paid $103 million in taxes, and just off the top of my head, I know in Waycross they pay, from the District 8, they pay $3 million worth of property taxes, and in Chatham County they pay $9 million worth of property taxes every year. That is a not-for-profit that pays none, but I won't get into political statements here today. If HCA would stand, and I'd love to welcome y'all to the Capitol. Thank you so much.
Recognize the senator from the 40th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sure you've probably heard that today is International Women's Day. If there are women in the women senators who are in the chamber who would like to come up and stand with me right now, I know we have limited time, and so we can get this done quickly this way while I do a point of personal privilege. This morning over at the Freight Depot, the Women's Legislative Caucus honored 33 women who are public servants in our communities. The theme of the event was mental health, taking care of yourself and others. After this pandemic, we really have a mental health crisis in our country. People are they're hurting from things that happened during the pandemic, things that oftentimes changed their lives. Many of the women are caretakers. Many of the mental health practitioners are female, and they are struggling to keep up with the demand. We have a number of these honorees who are up in the chamber. So if you were an honoree from this morning, would you please stand up so that we can applaud for you? And in order to have some brevity, I would like the women who are standing with me, if you have somebody in particular, if you could quickly give their name and their community, that would be great.
Carolyn Flood, Fayette County. Archie Emerson, Clayton County. Shanae Motley, Albany, Georgia.
Dr. LaCleisha Izzard, Newton County, Professional Mental Health Specialist of Shekinah Incorporated.
Okay, thank you. So these beautiful yellow roses in my arm are for the Lieutenant Governor's lovely wife, because just like when you're a preacher's spouse, your spouse's job becomes your own. And I know that has been the case for our Lieutenant Governor's wife. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to give these flowers to the Lieutenant Governor. But I told him earlier, he has to promise to tell his wife that these are from the Women's Legislative Caucus, not himself. Thank you, Mr. President.
She'll think I did something if I don't tell them it's from y'all. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, ladies.
We would simply add that the yellow rose commemorates suffrage for women, which was achieved in 1929, and the yellow rose is a symbol of that, because those in the legislatures who were voting on this state by state wore a yellow rose if they favored women's suffrage. That is why you will see the yellow rose appear at least once a year on your desks. Thank you.
Thank you, senators. Senator from the 35th, I know you wanted to. That you were yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, I forgot.
Can y'all turn the 35th mic on, please? Mm-hmm. Can you turn on?
Yeah. Thank you. I'd like to ask my recipient to stand up again, Miss Sherry Nelson. We have a resolution for you, and I won't try to read it, but it's commending you for receiving your 2023 Yellow Rose Servant Leader Award from the 35th District Senator, and for all the great things you do for Atlanta and for seniors all over Georgia and all over the United States. So it's a long resolution, and I won't try to read it now. We have to go across the hall, but you are special and a phenomenal woman, so congratulations. Sherry Nelson. Thank you.
And ladies of the Senate, if y'all could come to the stairs so we could all get a picture with you, if you don't mind. Recognize Senator from the 17th. Your name.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to make an announcement that your municipal court judges are downstairs, the Council of Municipal Court Judges in room 230. If you have time to go see them before or after the State Judiciary, they're there till noon today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator from the 44th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, it is Spelman College Day at the Capitol. We have three
former graduates of Spelman to serve in the House, and you have one now in the Senate. We are here to first welcome the 11th president of Spelman College, who will lead this institution to greatness, Dr. Helena Gale. Please give her a hand. She is a physician, and you all probably know her when she led CARE International. But Spelman College has always been, has long been recognized as a leading educator of African women of descent. We have 2,100 students from 43 states and 10 foreign countries. So ladies from Spelman College, would you stand in the gallery? You see a sea of blue and white. Thank you so much for being here. I yield the way, Mr. President, and thank you.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for that recognition of our ladies from Spelman. Also want to recognize a former colleague, Mitch Seaball, is in the chamber today. Mitch, wave your hand there. Let's give Senator Mitch Seaball a round of applause. Senator Seaball, I'm not sure we traded up when we got the senator from the 28th here. But Mitch is a good friend, and he did a good job while serving in his role. So, Senator from the 14th, would you like to rise on a point of personal privilege? Senator from the 14th. Senator from the 19th, would you like to rise on a point of personal privilege?
Hey, Senators, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. Just a reminder, today the House passed out the FY24 budget out of committee. Please study it when you have a chance, and if there's any questions you have or things that affect your district, let us know. Subcommittee chairs, the House knows that we're in a pinch for time. We've got, I think, 11 days left after today. So the subcommittee chairs on the House, Chairman Hatchett has asked them to talk with you, let you know what's going on in your budgets, because we're already meeting on budgets that don't have their numbers, and we really can't add their numbers in until after the entire budget passes the House. So do be expecting their calls. If you've got any questions about that, please don't hesitate at all to call me. And also want to tell Chairman Hatchett, thank you so much for helping us get a little bit ahead of the game and allowing his subcommittee chairs to meet directly with ours. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for all your hard work, and thank you, the staff in particular, for all their hard work, and did a great job with the budget, as always. Recognize the Dean of the Senate, Senator from the 15th, on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Senator from the 29th, I would like to remind you that this is Columbus Day. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, the mayor, the members of the council, and Columbus State University, we thank you for everything you do each and every day. A lot of times you don't get the thanks you deserve. You work hard and you do great jobs, and we just want to commend you for that. And thank you for what you do, not only for Columbus, Georgia, but for the entire state of Georgia, always in good standing. God bless you, and thank you for what you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator.
And also I'd like to mention the cups on your table, as well as the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus T-shirts as well, I've been told to say. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. President.
All right. Good job. Good job. Thank you, Senator. I recognize Senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise before you today. Georgia Pre-K Week 2023 this year will take place the first full week in October 2nd through the 6th. Pre-K Week celebrates Georgia's Pre-K, a nationally recognized program that has served approximately 2 million Georgians since it began over 30 years ago. Voices for Georgia's Children will call each legislator this summer to schedule a time for you to read to a pre-K classroom in your district in October, as well as mail you an official pre-K week book to bring with you on your visit to that school. In 1992, Governor Zell Miller launched a pilot program called Georgia's Pre-K. At the time, the educational program served about 750 fourth graders. In 2011, Voices for Georgia's Children and Bright Start, Georgia's Development of Early Care and Learning launched Georgia Pre-K Week as an annual celebration of Georgia's pre-K program. Now, 30 years later, the lottery-funded program has laid a solid foundation for academic excellence and the future success in the lives of Georgians' youngest learners. Over 73,000 Georgians' fourth graders currently are enrolled or participate in Georgia's pre-K. Georgia is now only one of 9 states, including D.C., to serve more than half of its state's fourth grade children. The goal of this event is to emphasize the importance of a quality early childhood education by providing opportunities for leaders to engage in the pre-K program. Nearly 70% of the current state legislators have participated in Georgia Pre-K Week in the past. I encourage those that have not to participate this year to respond to Voice when they reach out to you this summer and select a time to go visit one of your pre-K classrooms in your district. In the gallery this morning, we have the Commissioner, Amy Jacobs and Susan Adams from the Department of Early Care and Learning. We also have Caitlin Dooley from Voices for Georgia's Children, and our Pre-K Teacher of the Year, Elena Jones from Acres Academy in Forsyth County, and Shannon Gibson from Baldwin Elementary School in Habersham County. If you would please stand and be recognized. Thank you so much for your great work and for being here today. Thank you, Mr. President. With that, I'll yield the will.
All right. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? You have a local consent calendar. You have a consent calendar of local bills before you. Ms. Secretary, are there any objections filed on any of the bills on the local consent calendar?
No objections filed, Mr. President.
Is there objection to agree to the report of the Committee on State and Local Government Operations, which is favorable to the passage of the bill on the local consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the Committee on the State and Local Government, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none, the report of the committee is agreed to. The question is on the passage of the bill, local consent calendars. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The Secretary will unlock machines. Recognize the senator from the 27th.
President, I know it's too late for this vote. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 48th.
Without objection, yeah, it is too late, but I think he'll be all right. Thank you, though. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0. This bill on the local consent calendar, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. I recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. I move that pursuant to House Resolution 280, the Senate stand in recess for the purpose of convening a joint session to hear an address from the Chief Justice, and that upon dissolution of the joint session, the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday, March 9th.
The majority leader has moved. Is there objection to his motion? Without objection, the motion is granted. Okay, we're in the posture now. We're going to stand in recess, and we're going to line up and head over to the House for the State of the Judiciary. And so we'll line up, do just like we did on the State of the State, and we'll stand in recess starting now.